Hi there, my name is Miguel, and today I'm going to share with you a lesson I taught to my primary 2 students recently, which focuses on helping young Cantonese learners say the beginning and L sounds, beginning L and N sounds. All right. Just to give you some background, I taught this to my students at primary 2, age 7 to 8 years old. All of them were born and raised in Hong Kong, and they all speak, their mother tongue is in Cantonese. The main reason why I decided to teach these 2 beginning sounds is that in Cantonese, these 2 sounds could be pronounced at the beginning of a word, but still have the same meaning. For example, the word you in English, in Cantonese, is actually pronounced lei, but it can also be pronounced as ne. So here, this one is pronounced with the sound, and this one is pronounced with the sound. Now this logic transfers this logic transfers to when students speak English. But unlike Cantonese, when you change the beginning sound, the meaning of the word changes. For example, you have light and night, let and net. Very different. Okay, so at the beginning of the lesson, I modeled and showed to students how to produce the L and sound. So the L or L sound is a lateral sound, which means that a partial closure is made by the blade of the tongue, right here, against the alveolar ridge up there, right? Air is able to flow around the sides of the tongue, right here. Okay, so I modeled to the students how to do this. So I showed them the diagram, and I showed them to them physically like this. And I even got them to put their hands in front of their mouth so that they can fear the escape of the air like this. And after that, I asked students to give me some examples of words that started with the L sound. After that, I showed them a diagram with the sound. The sound is a nasal sound, which means that it is produced with a closure made by the lips, right there, or by the tongue, against the palate. The soft palate is lowered, and air escapes through the nose, up here, right? In order for them to feel, so I showed them the diagram, and I modeled to them how to produce the sound like this. And to feel the to feel how they're producing the N sound, I got them to put their finger under their nose to feel the air escaping while they were producing the sound. The place of articulation for the and sound are both at the alveolar area. The blade of the tongue is used close to the alveolar ridge. So it was important in order to differentiate how each sound was produced, it was important for them to know how the air escaped when producing the sound. So for the L sound, it was like this, and for the N sound, it was like that. So for drilling, I got them to say the L and N sound to the tune of Hey Jude. For example, for the L sound, we sang la 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 la, and for the N sound, we sang na 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 na. And we did this a couple of times until they got the hang of it and producing and identifying the difference between each sound. So we moved on to the next task, which was like a visual identification of the L and N sound. So I divided the students into pairs, and each pair got a worksheet to work with. So in this worksheet, you had a column representing the 2 sounds, and you had a list of words. So they had to arrange their words under the right column. For the L sound, it was quite easy for them to place it under the right column, because words that started with the L sound also started with the letter L, like light, let, lip, and line. For the N sound, it was quite tricky. The beginning, they had night because it started with the letter N. Same with net and nip and nine. And when they got to the word like knit, that was a tricky part because they couldn't follow the usual pattern. And then they realized that the spelling of the word doesn't always correspond to how it is pronounced. So that this brought a whole new language awareness for them, especially for learners of age 7 to 8 years old. After that, still working in the same peer group, students worked with the same list of words, and then they did some listening and speaking practice. So one partner would be reading a word from their list, like light, 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 and then to identify the correct beginning sound, they would put up the sign for the L sound like this: light, 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 l. And then the reader will read the next word: night, night, night. And the listener will put up the sign for the N sound, like this: night, night. So they did this, and then when they went through after going through the list, they switched roles and did the whole thing again. All right. Oh, then after that, to put all this practice into context, still working in pairs, I got students to read out a poem. So one student would read out a poem with words beginning with the L, with the L and N sound, while the other student would check if they pronounced it correctly. So here's a poem for the L sound. So L is for Lucy Lockett. So one student would read and the other student would check. So it would go like this. So Lucy Lockett lost her pocket. Kitty Fisher found it. Not a penny was there in it, only ribbon round it. And the same goes for the N poem, N sound poem. I use my hammer and 5 nails. That's too noisy, my neighbor yells. I hammer them now before it's night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to my neighbor, I'll be polite. And while they were practicing with their partners, I walked around the classroom, taking notes of some words that they mispronounced. And then when they were done, I wrote it on the board, and then we drilled for correct pronunciation. And then after that, we went through all of the poems again as a class and read it together. And then there were actually 2 sets of poems. So when one of the partners finished, the other partner would be reading a different set of poem, so that in order to challenge them and to work with a new material. So anyway, that's it. That was my lesson to help young Cantonese learners differentiate the beginning L and N sound. Thank you. Bye.